Hello, hello, and welcome back to Movie Night with Mac, the show with my movie reviews and movie news. In today's episode, I am joined by a very special guest, a fellow UABtv member and the president of the UAB Film Club, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing one of the most talked about releases of March 2025, Mickey 17. We both got to check it out in the last week or so. I don't know about you, but this was one of my most anticipated releases this year. I was really excited to check it out.
Yeah, no, I've been anticipating it since it was announced, I think, last summer. And when the trailer came out, I think in October, that's when the hype really started to set in for me. And
Yeah.
I would say this is the first movie event of the year so far.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people were that way when the trailer came out, because this thing has been delayed a bunch, and it was originally delayed until April, I believe, but then when the trailers came out, more people were showing how excited they were, and they pushed it up to March. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, what's crazy about that is, if I'm getting my facts straight, this movie's been finished since 2022.
Yeah.
And it just got distribution.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I read that too, that it was, they filmed in, like, end of 2022, and it's been delayed for forever. Speaking of the marketing, like the trailers and stuff, what did you think about that? About how they kind of marketed it and the press about all that?
I think, honestly, the movie kind of spoke for itself for me. Not in terms of like what it was about, because I think it was a bit ambiguous up until the release, but I would say WB didn't seem to really know what they were doing in terms of marketing. They had some decent marketing campaigns going on. Like, I know some people in Huntsville got to see the movie for free.
Yeah,
but
I saw that too.
Yeah, but usually when a studio is delaying this thing for months and months, it's pretty obvious they just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's found an audience that really fucks with it. Or can I curse on this thing?
Yeah.
They really mess with it, and I think there's going to be like a minority of us who really, really enjoy it and want to go see it. But as it's doing right now, I don't think mainstream audiences really know what to do with it either, because they just weren't given the right information, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel like the marketing, it was like, they kind of did the best with what they could with kind of how messed up like the release schedule was. But yeah, I agree. Not doing the best at the box office right now, because just a niche audience. But honestly, I was just happy that it got made and it wasn't like scrapped or shelved or
Yeah.
Warner Brothers can spare a couple million.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I'm just, like you said, I'm really glad it exists too. And there's something very admirable about the director Bong Joon Ho, after making like one of the masterpieces of the century, going in and making a fairly divisive sci-fi movie.
Absolutely.
You can tell he really just wanted to go on a larger scale for this, and we're kind of seeing the same themes that we saw with Parasite.
For sure.
But the love for people as a whole is more present in this. It feels a lot more rounded in terms of portraying people in a better light than Parasite did, because that movie, when I watch it, I just think everyone's out to get you, I mean, the name implies it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I love about Bong Joon Ho, is like he kind of takes themes like like in Parasite and Mickey 17 about like class and greed, which are like maybe you could say like pretty predictable themes, but what I love about his movies is how he like applies them to a pretty unpredictable story and makes it like engaging, which we see I think in Mickey 17 a lot. What did you think about just the movie as a whole? Do you like what comments do you have about that?
I think it's really good. I mean, I know a friend of mine, after I told him this, I said, this movie proves he's one of the best working today, and he said, we didn't need this movie for that to be proven right. But I do think the man's done it again, I don't know if he's ever made a bad movie. I haven't seen everything of his, but everything he did in the 2010s I liked. This one I really like. And Yeah, I mean, I think he's entered that echelon, I think, of like Scorsese's or trying to think who else could fit in there contemporary wise, but basically what I'm trying to say, he's hit a streak. He did
absolutely.
it again. I do have some problems with the movie, especially with the ending. I'm sure we'll get into that, but as a whole, I honestly I don't know. I think it met the hype for me.
Yeah.
I'll just put it at that.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, we can talk about the ending if you want, because I had some similar comments about that.
Yep.
I was a little underwhelmed, and the ending, it was good. It just, I don't know, it didn't really fulfill kind of where I was at and like how I was feeling through the movie. It kind of felt a little too like happily ever after, and
Yeah.
you know, like what do you think about that? Are you in
Yeah.
the same boat, kind of?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go too deep into the politics of it because I don't even know what I'm talking about sometimes. The movie's definitely advocating for something very liberal about, going into the system,
Yeah.
fixing things, and I think it's a good message. It's very positive, but I do think, in contrast to what Parasite was like, just the hopelessness of it. I mean, the only hope you really find in that movie are little contextual clues you need to search for. I think I agree with you. It's a little bit too, I'm not gonna say too happy, like too, what was it you said, happily ever after?
Yeah. A little too ideal.
Yeah. Especially when you have this huge figure that is very reminiscent of a lot of dictators around the world.
Absolutely.
It just feels like this is kind of like a standard that I watched it, I saw it happen, and I went, I don't believe that. I could not think that would happen.
Yeah. Bong Joon Ho himself said that Mark Ruffalo's character, I'm assuming you're referring to, wasn't based on anyone in particular, but like, come
It's
on,
a mix of things.
we
Yeah,
yeah.
we know.
Yeah.
The one that shall not be named.
I thought Mark Ruffalo, speaking of him, I thought he was great. I really liked his performance.
Yeah, no, I remember I saw him in Poor Things, and I thought he was just absolutely fantastic. I think that's my favorite role of his to date.
Yeah, he's
and
great.
I'm glad that he's now taking on projects where we have to be reminded that Mark Ruffalo is a really good actor.
Yeah. The Renaissance, Mark Ruffalo Renaissance.
Yeah. He said himself in Poor Things, in an interview, he said that the movie allowed him to finally take on another role that wasn't just a depressed dad. And he's proven it. He's really good at it. It makes me want to see him in so many more things.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I agree. I loved him in Poor Things and in this. Somewhat similar characters, like kind of conniving, and
I love him as an antagonist.
yes, absolutely. I agree. Also, in the cast, obviously, Robert Pattinson, I think he was amazing. He just absolutely knocks it out of the park, like super committed to everything that he does, from the Batman to the Boy and the Heron from a couple years ago, and now here. He just has a lot of range, and I think that his commitment is very admirable. He's like one of the greatest of this generation.
Oh, I'd go
would
as
say.
far as to say he is the greatest actor we have today.
Yeah.
He's really going out there for things that I don't see many other people do. And again, I mean, I think a big part of it too is just knowing his roots, like where he started and where he's come now. It's very, like you said, it's very admirable just seeing him transform into these different characters, and he's finding that great balance between himself as a person and a personality, because I don't ever watch a movie and go, okay, that's not Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
But he's also just transforming into these roles where I think, wow, I never knew he was capable of this.
Yeah, it's great. Also, in the movie, in Mickey 17, Steven Yeun is another actor that I love, but I thought he was a little underutilized. I would have loved to see more screen time from him, because I loved his character. I just think that he didn't get enough to be very memorable. I was a little disappointed by that, because I thought I really liked his character and his chemistry with Robert Pattinson.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm not going to keep yapping, so let me know if I should tone it down.
No, you're good.
I think my biggest problem with the movie is just its length. Maybe I'm unpopular with this. I could have watched this thing for 3 hours. I think it needed that extra time because it's trying to tie too many loose ends by the end of the film, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was the funders of the movie or the distributor basically going, hey, we can't keep funding this thing, wrap it up.
Yeah.
I don't think Bong Joon Ho is capable of really delivering an ending like that unless he was being pressured to do so, but
Yeah.
we don't really have the facts yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think just with the world building and the politics of it all, it definitely could have been much more developed. Not that it's like underdeveloped or anything. Like I think it works fine with the cut that we got, but I agree. I could have watched a lot more of it.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you have any performances that stuck out to you or any comments?
Oh, well, this is this is kind of the opposite of what you asked, but that reminds me, another character I think was underutilized was Toni Collette's character.
Yes,
who
I
I
agree.
can't even remember her name. I really expected a lot more out of her, and she has her moments toward the climax or the end of the movie, and I do really like what Bong Joon Ho was going for, with because he is right. He said this in an interview. He was inspired by a lot of dictators in the world. They weren't always working alone. It was usually a couples thing going on.
Right.
They were being influenced by their wives as well. And I do wish we had seen more of that rather than just kind of like a comically evil individual. Because I never really got the impression that she was also pulling the strings. I kind of felt like she was just there.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
What about you? Did you have anyone else that stood out to you?
I could comment. I would say Naomi Ackie. I think that's her name.
Yeah, she was good too.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. I will say, occasionally, I think in her role, she was dipping a little too much into overacting. A lot of like screaming and very like over the top, which is fine. I'd only ever seen, the only other movie I've seen her in is Blink Twice from last year. I don't know if you are familiar, but it was a much more a reserved character and like a quiet character. So I like the range. I'm not hating on that, and I thought she did very good. She's a very talented actress, but sometimes it just didn't really match the tone, in my opinion. It was a little too much, but I thought she was good.
Yeah, I think I know what scene you're talking about. I'm assuming it's toward the end of the movie where
Yeah.
she lashes out at Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think, to me, that felt like Bong Joon Ho trying to vent his frustrations through the script. I get that. Just like a lot of things he's critiquing in the movie, it's a bit too on the nose. You
Yeah.
know, like I think about how subtle Parasite was with a lot of what it was trying to say, and I know he was handling this on a bigger scale, so I feel like his voice had to be louder. But I would say, yeah, some things, and I know obviousness does not mean it's bad, but there were certain moments where I saw it, I'm like, you know, I can figure out what you're trying to say here, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Let me ask, I got a curious question for you.
Yeah.
So I think you know this is based off a book,
Yes.
which, let me look up the book itself. Fun fact, the book is called Mickey 7.
Mickey 7, right?
Yes, and there's no space in between Mickey and the numbers, so it's just like one word. But it's a book by Edward Ashton. It's a sci-fi novel. I got to read a third of it before I stopped and went, okay, I don't want to know what happens for the rest of it before I see the movie. Have you read the book?
I have not.
I found some similarities and differences that were very fascinating.
Interesting.
I'm not going to go too deep into it because I feel like that would take a while. But
That's fine.
one very prevalent thing, and I'm going to try to just say this bluntly, Mickey is less of a dumbass in the movie, I would say. He's still very naive and he still doesn't make the best choices. But the book actually starts out with him falling in that cavern and getting almost eaten by the mammoths or whatever the creepers.
Creepers.
Yes, the creepers. And the thing is that in the book, he falls because he gets distracted. He was looking at something and then he just falls into a crevice without realizing it's there.
Interesting.
I read that and I was like, this guy's stupid, you know? But the movie, I think, tries to make him a bit more human. And it's not more that he's an idiot. It's just more that he is not treated fairly. But, of course, the book and the movie are injecting different types of humanity into these characters while retaining it. But I would say, if you ever get the chance, read the book, because it is also very fascinating, and it's also cool to compare and contrast and see what changes were made, because it does change your peripheral about how the story operates.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I'll have to check it out. Because I knew that it was based on a book, but I really didn't know much about it at all.
It was fairly obscure until Bong Joon Ho decided to adapt it, I believe.
Yeah. Well, we can wrap up with this, kind of turning the corner from the Oscars, which was at the start of this month.
Yes.
You know, obviously Bong Joon Ho's Parasite did very well at the Oscars when it was released. Do you think Mickey 17 will get any Oscar hype?
No. No,
I agree with you.
Yeah. The thing is that after watching it, I wanted to say if they had released it either early last year or later this year, it would probably get nominated for stuff. But knowing how the Oscars operate, and especially knowing that one of my favorite movies of last year got nominated for nothing, and that was Challengers, and that was a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't think the Oscars would have showed it the love it deserved, especially because it's not very fond of genre movies like this.
Yeah.
Like they usually tend to ignore sci-fi and horror. I think besides Lord of the Rings, they also ignore fantasy, but I'm sure there's others. But I don't think it would have gotten the love it deserved. But yeah, no, I was really hoping this would, like, especially because Parasite kind of changed the game, you know, especially in terms of the Oscars. I was really hoping that this would be a movie that would connect to more people, or at least people would be interested to see this movie. But it seems like it's just another one of those things that are kind of stuck in a rut, just wasn't advertised properly, and you know, people seem to be stubborn to go to the theater, so it's kind of floundering at the box office right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's gonna prove in the future or what, because it's, you know, again, we were there for the hype when Parasite came out. Everyone was infatuated with that movie, and knowing that his next movie comes out and it can't even break even, what does that mean for the industry?
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I agree. With the whole Oscar thing, I don't think it'll really receive much hype or nominations or anything, just because of the release and, like you said, like the genres, like the category it's in just typically doesn't perform well.
Yeah, and anything that releases at the beginning of the year, you know, it's gonna have less of a chance of getting nominated.
Right.
Like, I think you said your favorite movie of last year was Dune 2.
Yeah,
that
right.
one that was supposed to come out late 2023.
Right.
I think if it did, it would have been nominated for a lot more, would have won a lot more. Yeah. And we're lucky it even won anything because it was just that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just anything that gets released early in the year, it's like amnesia. People don't remember it later on.
Yeah, the recency bias is tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. That's all my talking points. Thank you so much for hopping on the episode and talking with me.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was fun. Yeah.
Thank you to the listeners for tuning in. If you're a UAB student, check out the UAB Film Club. And I will catch you in the next episode.
Cool.